Hey y'all, thank you for taking time out of your day to learn about the exciting new release of Secure Delivery Center 2013 SR2. So as you saw an email, and you've likely already downloaded it for those of you sitting on the bleeding edge, we have lots of new things in this release. So what we wanted to do was just take a few minutes today, really try to keep it down to about 30 minutes ballpark, and walk you through some of the awesomeness that is now part of SR2. I'm Timothy Webb. I'm the director over here at Genuitec of Innovation and Sales Strategy. And with me is Jed Anderson, who's a development manager and lead architect for Secure Delivery Center as well. So what we wanted to cover today is the high 30,000 foot view of SDC, really just jump in real quick and take a recap of what we're doing with SDC just to level set for the rest of the conversation. Promise we'll keep it really short. We know lots of you are already knee deep in SDC and enjoying all it has to offer, and focus the majority of the presentation really in what's new in SR2. So to that point, delivery is key to SDC. What you want to be able to do is empower your network, your users, your administrators, your customers, your ... to get access to your software, whether that's in a continuous delivery model where you have a push coming in from your build server, whether that may be a release engineer rolling out software to your teams. And as you look at your network, decide, what should my different users get? Maybe I have my QA team who's getting my nightly builds automatically pushed with required updates, and maybe you have customers who get the sanctioned approved releases that are outside of your firewall, really empowering you to administer and deliver your software efficiently. And when we look at that, say, okay, how do we do delivery? We know there's a number of ways. Yes, you can push out through your SMS system. Yes, you can provide installers on your normal company website. You can download my Eclipse IDE today from our IDE portal, and that's a Secure Delivery Center produced installer, but you don't have to know that. So it's your choice to decide. One of the things we do like, though, for you getting up and going and quickly servicing your internal organization is that there's the integrated portal. So this is the familiar portal you're all comfortable with. It's where your packages are exposed. It's where you can have your teams for your groups of users. Maybe you have your QA team or your dev team, or maybe you have different branches of your organization, different business units. And then you empower or you drive all that by the admin console. So the admin console is where you're going to come in and be able to manage your packages and really control the deployment of your software, monitor the nightly builds that are coming through, be able to come in here, see the usage metrics, the update metrics for your latest product release, decide to change the branding or security constraints of your software. So it's a heart and soul of the management of that. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is actually jump into what's exciting about SR2. And we're going to go see a demo of this because it's much more fun to see it live. But really just to talk about the breadth of new features that we've introduced in this release. First off, the big one that we're all really excited about is RCP delivery is now a first class feature of SDC. In the past, you could always do it. Yes, it was cool. SDC is flexible. Now it becomes turnkey. You go in there, you visually find your software, and Jed in a moment is going to take us through doing exactly that, and really providing that first class delivery of your product. But there's a bunch of other cool things in it. Maybe you have a crazy complex network deployment where you want to be able to isolate ports and communications and web services for end users from administrators because you're going to roll outside the firewall. Maybe you have crazy workspace setups where you want to be able to configure your Git repositories and automatically clone the right repositories on the right branches and decide inclusion or exclusion rules of projects. All of these cool features, including things like new updates, continuous delivery, all comes free as part of the seamless upgrade to SDC2, SR2. So all you need to do is go out, do the install, and all of these capabilities will become immediately available. You can decide when to roll them out to your users. So things like Kepler support, just because SDC SR2 can support Kepler, you don't need to take advantage of it till you're ready. So everything you see here, all of these cool features that you're quickly reading while I'm talking, become available right after upgrade when you're ready to use them. And that really speaks to the philosophy of SDC. Provide you turnkey services that you can use when you want. So on that note, I'd like to turn it over to Jed. And Jed, if you don't mind taking us through some of the awesomeness of this release.
Great, thanks, Tim. I'm going to switch over here. This is the portal that Tim was talking about that you get as a part of Delivery Hub, and this is the admin console that you get. And we're going to bring in software into SDC like you would with your RCP application. So the question is, how do you do that? Well, you import via a third-party library. And so this wizard walks you through the process of bringing in that software. So I'm going to grab the update site for Eclipse Trader. Eclipse Trader is an RCP application we like to use. It's very visual. It's a stock trading application. As you can see, they've got a lot of software on their update site. I'm going to select their main feature. Okay, and so now SDC is going to bring that software in to the delivery hub, and in the meantime, let's start setting up our package. So I'm going to create a new package. Let's call it Eclipse Trader, and I'm going to base it off of 3.8. I think that's what they base their distribution on right now, and Platform IDE. You don't need to select Platform IDE for the Eclipse Trader example because they include the entire Eclipse distribution on their update site. But if your RCP application is just the extra plugins that you need, then you could select the base platform that you want to include. I'm going to say, yes, I want to deliver an RCP application. And now we need to wait a little bit while the Eclipse Trader gets imported.
So Jed, that third-party library import you did, that's the same sort of thing that if I was the Eclipse Trader team, I could do from a nightly build, or I could have inside my company for my own RCP using some other Ant tasks, or what's the process look like for this when you're actually looking at real product delivery?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have continuous integration processes, so you can run an Ant task, have a new version of the library imported into Eclipse Trader, and then re-promote your package so that, like if you want your QA team to immediately start testing it. So here you'll see we've got our Eclipse Trader feature that I imported. I'm also going to add a little workspace task that we've written that will pre-populate the workspace with some of the stocks that are interesting, some interesting stocks that is. Switching over to the RCP product tab, this is that choice I was talking about before. Either you could base it off of a package like Eclipse 3.8 Classic or Eclipse 4.2 for Java or whatever, or you can base it off of a product lineup. And this is what we have with the RCP, with the Eclipse Trader RCP, is they have a product lineup that we can use. So then you need to select a product lineup. You could type this in if you knew it. I don't know it. I'm just going to have SDC find it for me, and so it'll go out and search through all the software that I've added to see if there's a product lineup out there for me to use. We also have the ability to control how you're integrating. Like if you have a headless app or just an SWT-based app rather than a workspace-based application, you can tell SDC, yeah, I don't need all the integration for the workbench. And similarly, if you want to do in-product updates on your own, we have an API you can write to. You could do it, based off of your own technology, or you can use SDC's integrated API. So switching over the configuration tab, I said there was a workspace task that we, like an extra task that we had added, and I have a configuration file for that. It's this computer stocks. You can see it's just stock tickers listed as a list, and I'm just going to drag and drop that into the workspace configuration section. So now whenever we provision this Eclipse Trader, this workspace task is going to run on startup and pre-populate with that list of stocks that I included. I'm also going to switch my access policy, my security policy, and my environmental policy. We've pre-populated these settings, and now I'm going to start committing and promoting. The commit and promote process allows your administrators to take a look at, test, make changes before they make things go live. And then now that I've done the promotion, the SDC Delivery Hub is going to do all the necessary work in the background of creating installers and creating the portal page for our package. And so it's going to spend a little bit of time here building an installer, and we're only building for Windows, so it should be pretty quick. But while it's doing that, we could just switch back and look at the portal. As you can see, we've got a few packages already built. There's one here for Kepler, which we're going to see later in the demo, and one for Android development. If you want to investigate further, you can click through and see, oh, we've done some promotions, there's a target platform associated with this, etc. Switching back, I think we're going to be close here. So on the timeline tab, we have a button that you can press to show it in the portal, and so this is going to redirect you to the portal page that the Delivery Hub has created, and we can click the Install Now button and run the installer directly from the portal. You can click the install or the download button to actually download the installers that you pass around, but we find it's really easy to just come to this page, click the button, and have the installer start running right off the bat. Okay, so this is a standard installer that you'll get as part of SDC, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it do its work of installing Eclipse Trader. This is also an online installer, which means it's connecting back to the Delivery Hub. This is all behind the firewall so that none of this traffic would go outside of your network unless you set it up in a way that you want it to go outside of your network. But the idea is that it is entirely secure. All that traffic is going to happen behind your firewall. Okay, here's our Eclipse Trader application. As you can see, it feels a little bit like Eclipse, but it's also got a little bit of its own flair. And the workspace tasks want to set up those stock tickers for us. So we've got no stock tickers over here now. We'll run the workspace task. It says, yes, we're done. And sure enough, we've got some stocks on our stock exchange. So I can open that chart and run a refresh. And as you can see, there's Apple's chart. So that's the that's getting things installed, but then you also have to keep things up to date. And part of that process is rolling out new changes, or maybe you've got some communications that you want to do with your users. SDC allows you to communicate with them through a notification channel. So here I've created a notification that's going to go out. I'm going to commit that so that that says, okay, other administrators can see this. And we have a feature for notifications that you can just push them directly to the user. You don't have to go through another promote cycle. So if I do that now, I can switch back to my RCP application, do a check for updates, or if check for updates is happening in the background, which is something you can configure, it will check for updates, see there's a notification that needs to be presented to the user, and present that notification. So I think I'd like to switch it back to Tim now to talk a little bit more about some of the other features.
Awesome, thank you, Jed. Exciting always to see how easy it is to run that RCP flow and actually deliver a fully tailored product out, not just the traditional IDE. When it comes to delivery, whether you're doing an RCP or IDE, you have different roles of your users. And I alluded to it a little bit earlier when we were talking about your network. But it really comes down to you identifying the responsibilities, the actions, the roles of each of the personas you have in your delivery network deployment infrastructure. So when you step back and look at your delivery hub and you say, oh yeah, I am supporting an external contractor, and my external contractor is able to access packages I've defined, predefined, and maybe a few limited pieces of software. Whereas my normal user may be able to access a collection of packages and come in and choose from a wide array of software in our private marketplace, as well as perhaps our public marketplace. as you segment your different roles or personas in your organization, you get to decide what are the appropriate functions for each of those users. New in SR2 comes the ability to actually segment at a network level as well those different communications. So historically, the same portal you ran, if you logged in with administrator credentials, you could get into the admin side. In SR2, you can now start to do things like filter and use two different portal IP, ports, such that you have one isolated port that's exposed outside of your firewall that can never get to administrative functions. Similarly, when you're behind your trusted network, you can say, okay, these are the functions I want to support behind in my public side of my network. Sorry, my internal public portal. In that private portal, you're able to decide, okay, yeah, I'm going to allow full administration. But only to these users. I am going to require all communications to be over HTTPS instead of HTTP. I am going to only authorize this particular network segment to be able to do internal bills, automated bills, continuous delivery. And so as you define your network, one of the cool things is now you can very easily not only decide what the roles are, but actually enforce for each of the personas you have the appropriate capabilities for that user. So again, very excited with that additional flexibility you are now have access to with SR2. When talking about the high level capabilities, we were talking about some of the new workspace tasks, and I alluded to briefly things like new Git repositories. Now, you may historically have tried to do Git with your team project set, and you find there's a disconnect. That there's certain uh, revision control systems that don't apply well when you think about a project set format, which is historically project based. As we all know who live and breathe in Git a bit too much, when you're looking at Git, Git is really focused on a repository model. You branch a repository, not the project. And so what we introduced with SR2 is the ability for you to manage your Git repositories very efficiently. Previously, we had provided that as an add-on you could use. Now it's integrated into the product. The other cool one is you can do really advanced target platform configuration. So you can have it pre-configure interesting target platforms using third-party libraries using binary content, which allows you to say, okay, I'm going to have this part of my target platform, which is for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and this one, which is only for Windows 32-bit. And you can start to segment out the content of your target platform and automate not only the configuration of your target platform, but actually the delivery of the contents for your target platform as well. What the cool thing is, all of this was actually doable as custom workspace tasks on top of previous versions of SDC. But just like these requests came in on our forums, it's a nice opportunity for us to then integrate them in as part of core product as well as neat capabilities going forward. If you haven't been exposed to our Ant tasks, this will be all new, but there's really cool things you can do with Ant with SDC. Jed talked about it with continuous delivery, with the being able to import third-party libraries, and you could promote libraries. But new cool things you can do is actually change the version of software being used on a package. So I can say, okay, I'm going to install a new version of my third-party library, and I'm going to update these three packages that my QA team is using to my current version or my tagged version, or whatever your continuous delivery automation may be dictating. But also introduced in SR2 is actually the ability to deliver your own packs. So we're talking about an RCP, and it's awesome. And it's nice you import your third-party library and you tailor it. But maybe you actually have customers who want to be able to deliver your RCP behind the firewall and be able to manage 100 installations of your RCP behind their own network without phoning home to you. New with SR2 is a very simple way for you to do that using some Ant tasks that allow you to build your own pack, potentially automatically install that pack, and roll out software to use it. It becomes really cool. Now that software pack, just like from Genuitec, you can download software packs. We have customers already who are actually building their own packs that you can install into a delivery hub. And that allows you to provide this turnkey, easy delivery model for your own customers on top of a delivery hub. So again, very compelling. Lots of Ant enablement to help facilitate all those different sort of delivery flows, providing a very rich and potentially very automated delivery process for your organization. But what's exciting is what's coming in June. We know Kepler's about out the door. SR2 has some support for that. So Jed, what can you actually do with SR2 with Kepler?
Well, why don't we fire up the Kepler that I've installed? We have Kepler RC1 support. You can go to our forums and you can download the pack and install it into your delivery hub once you've upgraded to SR2, and it will provision Kepler for you. And with that, you get some cool new features. Kepler has added some Git 3 support, which a lot of people are really excited about. There's a lot of performance improvements there. Um, and it has also added some support for HTTP Client 4, Apache's new HTTP client platform. Why don't I just show you a few of those places where those exist in the UI. So this automatic updates page is actually an SDC contributed page where your users can say, oh, I want to look for updates daily, hourly, weekly. That's something you can control as the administrator. And then also which client I want to use. Do I want to use a native Java or the HTTP client 3 or 4? So the HTTP client 4 is available in Kepler. So if you take a look at this page in your other packages, you'll just see the HTTP client 3 and Java and native Java services. That's really it. That's quite exciting to show. Is
Do you want
we've got
go
Eclipse Kepler already, and we haven't even gotten to the point where they have released it.
So what's new on the catalog side? I seem to remember some new metrics and things that we have.
That's true. That's very true. Um, if we open up the install from catalog, you'll see they've got a few new things in the UI for the marketplace. For example, they're tracking how many installs have been done in the last month. So as your users come in and do searches for different pieces of software, you'll see, some of them here have been installed, some of them have not. And so that's something that's nice. Gives your users the ability to get feedback from your other users just by the fact that, oh, somebody installed this, so maybe it is useful or maybe not. Um,
Right, so it's cool that now in SR2 the featured is based on the active installs that have been done against your delivery hub. So for your own marketplace, what's most interesting in your organization, not what's interesting out in the Eclipse community at large. So it allows you to have your users focus in on what's most popular by your own organization.
yeah, that's really exciting. You get to get statistics based off of your users, not just the average internet user. All right, Tim, do you want to tell us a bit about
Yeah, indeed. So when you look at setting down for SR2 or really any of our releases, whether you're doing a first install or upgrade, um, the cool thing is the lifecycle is very simple. It's the explore the feature. So SEC is designed to be very simple to install. Same for the new features. You saw how Jed was able to just click a checkbox to experiment with RCP. He could have used the testing tab to see if things are working right locally before even promoting it. So feel free to poke around. Get familiar with what's new. Obviously, whether you're now going to be doing RCP or have been doing RCP, take advantage of the new capabilities so you can optimize your usage. If you're just doing IDE, the flow is the same. You're going to experiment with your IDE, then start to define the requirements. Okay, now I can see it, the knobs and tweaks I can do to my package. Let's define out a bit what we want to deliver. Decide, am I going to be manually loading my software? Am I going to be using the pre-certified software from Genuitec or automating it using Ant with continuous delivery, and then roll out. The nice thing, once your software rolled out, it becomes very easy to cycle back. One of the things we find in most of our deployments is normally it's one or two folks who are responsible for the Eclipse delivery of whatever form that may be. But then for larger organizations, they can turn around and start to authorize different segments of that organization to then do additional management themselves. So you can create your base cool company package, and they can have cool company team A with their own derivatives and their own changes, and let them start to take control of that themselves. Everything you've seen here, all the way through to the Kepler RC1 package, is immediately available for installation. Very easy for you to get access to. So really in wrap up, what I'd like to say is, are you ready for SR2? Hopefully it's awesome. There's so many improvements beyond what we've just shown here. There's lots of bug fixes, cool support for Kepler coming so you don't have to upgrade your delivery hub later, ability for interesting and more efficient management of your software catalogs. There's a whole bunch of goodness in there. So download it. The URL is right there. If you haven't already installed SDC, just download it. It'll walk you through getting a free 30-day eval license. You don't need to bother with us. Happens all automatically. Make it very easy for you to get access to the software. If you do have any questions, though, reach out to us at info@genuitec.com, or you can go to our forums at genuitec.com/sdc/forums. So I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day today to hear a bit about what's new in SDC SR2. And we look forward to hearing from you, whether it be on one of our periodic phone calls, whether it's a future webinar, whether it's in the forums or by email. We're here for you, and we thank you for all the feedback. A lot of what's in here today has come out of our customers doing direct and interesting things like, oh, lots of people doing RCP. Great opportunity to make that easier for others and to help those current customers. So again, thank you for your continuing support, and we look forward to all the creative things you have coming in the future.